Hello students, in the previous lecture we have discussed about the first chapter, that was the general discussion about reproduction. Okay, today we will continue with second chapter, that is reproduction in flowering plants. Okay, as we have discussed in the first chapter, in the previous chapter, that what is reproduction, you know very well, and but here especially in the second chapter we will deal with the reproduction in especially in flowering plants. Okay, in the next chapter we will deal with the reproduction in animals. Okay, so concentrate on this point, the reproduction in flowering plants. First of all, we must know that in flowering plants, which are also known as angiosperms, what is exactly flower is? What is exactly flower? Flower क्या होता है? Flower is a modified stem which function as a reproductive organ. Okay, with the you can say ongoing evolution, the shoots, the leaves, green leaves, they converted into flower, which is also known as the reproductive organ of the plant, which helps in reproduction. Okay, so there are various events as we have discussed in the previous chapter, that pre-fertilization events, fertilization and post-fertilization events. Now here we are discussing about the pre-fertilization events, one of which is the formation of flower. Some birds, or you can say on the stem, some birds differentiate into flower primordia, which converted it totally into the flower. Flower may be monoecious or biaceous or dioecious. Okay, female sex organs and male sex organs are located on the same flower or maybe on the different flower. It depends upon the species and the genus of the plant. Okay, now let's discuss the detailed structure of a typical flower. Here I have drawn a typical flower, not of any particular species. So let's start with female part. Here this part, this heart shaped part, this is also known as receptacle and this is known as stigma generally. Okay, we call it as stigma. The neck part, this is known as style. I will also discuss the functions of these all parts. Stigma, also known as a receptacle, it receives the pollen grains. The pollen grains land on the stigma. After that the fertilization and post-fertilization events takes place, and this style, which is the neck of the pistil, it exposes the stigma to the outer environment so that stigma can easily catch the pollen grains. Okay, next part is ovary. Ovary after fertilization converted into fruit, means for fruit you can define the fruit as ripened ovary. Okay, ovary contains ovules and the placenta. Okay, ovules after fertilization will convert into seeds and placenta provides the nutrition to the seeds. Seed, number of seeds also vary in an ovary. In a fruit it may be one, as in case of mango, Mangifera indica, or it may be 1000, the number may be 1000, as in case of pomegranate, papaya, guava, etc. Okay, it may vary. Okay, the next part is thalamus. Thalamus is the part where all the parts rests. Okay, like petals, sepals, stigma, style, ovary, these all parts are rests on the this part, which is known as thalamus. Okay, the flower is attached to the stem of the plant with the help of a stalk, which is known as pedicel. So this part is known as pedicel. Okay, some flowers do not contain pedicel, they are known as sessile flowers. This flower is pedicellate flower. okay, as you might have studied in +1 class. Okay, so next part is petal. One more thing, remember one more thing, all these three parts, stigma, style, ovary, collectively they are known as pistil and group of pistils. The pistils also vary in a flower. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, it may vary in number, and the group of pistils is known as gynoecium, or sometimes call it as gynoecium. Okay, means the female part, gynoecium. Okay, now petal, it is a colorful part of the flower to attract the insects, birds, or you can say pollinators. To attract the pollinators, these leaves converted into colorful part, okay, which are known as petals. The group of petals is known as corolla. The next part, that is sepal. Sepal protect the flower when the flower is in bud condition. The flower is in bud condition, the sepals protect the flower, and the group of the sepals is known as calyx. Okay, I have discussed thalamus and pedicel. Now next part, that is male part. The male part, this part is known as anther. Okay, and this thread like structure which hold the anther is known as filament, and collectively these both comes under stamen. This whole part is known as stamen, and the group of stamen, because it is male part, this is known as androecium. Okay, so I have discussed, I am repeating again, we have discussed the female part. This is known as female whorl, which is comprises of stigma, style, ovary, and known as pistil, and the group of pistil is known as gynoecium. Then petal, colorful part, group of petal is known as corolla. The green sepals are there. Sepals protect the flower when the flower is in bud condition. Sepals, the group of sepals is known as calyx. After that, thalamus and pedicel, through which the flower is attached to the shoot of the plant. Okay, the next we also discussed ovules. Ovules, which after fertilization converted into seeds, and the placenta provide the nourishment to the developing seeds. Okay, after that we have discussed anther, which is the male part. Anther contains pollen grains, we will discuss in the next session, and it also contains filament which is attached to the anther, and collectively it is known as stamen. And the group of stamens may be also vary. It may be there may be one stamen, or there may be 10 or 100 stamens, it may vary. The group of stamens, all the stamens collectively are known as androecium, means male part. Remember it, this is very important term, androecium and gynoecium, this is the female part, and these are known as whorls. Okay, this is female whorl, gynoecium, and corolla is another whorl, calyx, and then androecium. There are 4 major whorls. Okay, and out of which 2 are reproductive whorls, gynoecium and androecium. Okay, now we will discuss in detail the structure of male part, that is stamen. Okay, stamen, as I told you earlier, it comprises of anther as well as filament. Now here I have drawn a detailed diagram of the anther and the anatomy of the anther, what is there inside the anther. So first of all we will look the morphology of the anther. The anther of the most of the flower is bilobed, means 2 lobes are there, one you can see here and another below it. There are 2 lobes, and in each lobe, look at this diagram, in each lobe, this is one lobe and this is another lobe, and in each lobe there are 2 sacs. That's why it is known as dithecious or dithecous. Dithecious, anther is dithecious in most of the plants, and it is bilobed. means 2 lobes are there, and in each lobe 2 theca are there, that's why it is dithecious. Now let's study the detailed structure of anther. What is there inside the anther, or you can say anatomy of the anther. It is covered with so many layers, and inside the anther, if we cut it down transversely, you can see 4 parts inside the anther. There are 2 lobes, and in each lobe 2 sacs are there, which are known as pollen sacs. These pollen sacs contains pollen grains. These pollen sacs contains pollen grains. Okay, and these pollen sacs, when they are not mature enough, they are known as microsporangia. Means to say, microsporangia is a tissue which after maturation converted into, or you can say after differentiation converted into pollen sacs. Okay, after that we will discuss about the detailed structure of each pollen sac. Now you should remember what is microsporangium and what is pollen sac. Okay, means to say microsporangium differentiate into pollen sac, okay, which contains small structures, small gametes, male gametes, which are known as pollen grains. These are pollen grains. When stamen matures, or you can say anther matures, it dices and pollen grains release out and comes out and transfer to the other flower, stigma of the other flower or the same flower, depending upon whether there is self pollination or cross pollination. Okay, they comes out and they are taken up by the various agencies, various agents. It may be wind, it may be any bird, it may be any other animal. Okay, it depends upon the type of the pollinating agency. Okay students, as we have discussed about the structure of the flower, which is also known as the reproductive organ of the plant, so we are discussing the various parts of a flower. So first of all, we are discussing the male part of the plant, which is known as androecium. Okay, and the single part of the androecium is known as stamen. You know very well. Okay, the parts of the stamen are anther and filament. Okay, anther contains pollen sacs. Anther is bilobed, means 2 lobes are there, and each lobe 2 theca are there. That's why a typical anther is also known as bilobed and dithecious. Okay, and what is there inside an anther? If we cut it down, you will see 4 structures, round structures are there. These are known as pollen sacs. When the anther is young, these pollen sacs are not present, rather microsporangium is present. Means to say, there is no pollen grain in the young anther. Okay, microsporangium differentiates and forms pollen sacs, and further in pollen sac pollen grains are formed. Okay, in each microsporangium, microsporogenesis means formation of pollen grains takes place. The process of formation of pollen grains is known as microsporogenesis. Okay, so let's see what is there in each pollen sac. When it is in young condition, it is known as microsporangium. So microsporangium, the enlarged view is there. The outermost layer is known as epidermis. This is the enlarged view of this microsporangium. Okay, which will further differentiate into pollen sacs. Okay, the outermost layer is epidermis, and then endothecium is there, next layer, and 3, 4, 5 layers are there, which are known as middle layers. After that, a layer is present which is known as tapetum. It helps in nourishment of pollen grains, maturing pollen grains, okay, which are under the process of maturation. Okay, now what will happen? There are certain cells. This whole tissue is known as sporogenous tissue. This is known as sporogenous tissue. I have written here sporogenous tissue. Okay, in this sporogenous tissue, all the cells act as MMC, means to say microspore mother cells. Okay, each cell is potent microspore mother cell, means to say it can give rise to pollen grain. Each cell can give rise to individually to pollen grain. How? In each microspore mother cell, there will be a cell division known as meiosis, which will result into 4 pollen grains. Means each microspore mother cells after cell division results into 4 cells. These are known as microspores. These are known as microspores. When young, they are attached to each other, but when mature, the water they dehydrate, and water, after the removal of water, they convert into pollen grains. Okay, and when anther matures, there is a line of dehiscence, means from where the anther dies, or you can say break down, and pollen grains comes out for pollination. Okay, now let's see what exactly is the structure of a typical pollen grain. Okay, now pollen grain is formed after the process of microsporogenesis, where in pollen sacs. In pollen sacs, microspore mother cells results into microspores. Okay, after the process of microsporogenesis. Okay, now what exactly is the structure of pollen grain? Pollen grain comprise of 2 layers. The outermost layer, this layer is known as axine. This layer is known as axine. It is made up of the tough material which is known as sporopollenin. There is no enzyme in the nature which can degrade this material. It is made up of sporopollenin, which is very tough material, and the inner layer, which is known as intine, it is made up of cellulose and pectin. Okay, and here inside the intine there are 2 cells. One is vegetative cell. This large cell, this is known as vegetative cell, which helps in the functioning of pollen grain and production of pollen tube, and generative cells, which results into the 2 male gametes, which helps in fertilization. After landing on the stigma, it helps in fertilization. It will produce 2 male gametes. Okay, so I am repeating again. The outermost layer of a typical pollen grain is known as axine, which is made up of tissue, which is made up of material known as sporopollenin, and the inner layer is known as intine, which is made up of cellulose, normal cellulose, and pectin. And inside it, what is there? There are 2 cells. One is vegetative cells, which helps in normal functioning of the pollen grain. It is a cell. Okay, and second one is generative cells, which helps in fertilization. Okay, after landing on the stigma. Now, 2 more things are there. This is germ pore. Germ pore. These germ pores helps in the formation of pollen tube. Here, pollen tube will comes out from any germ pore, from intine. Here at germ pore there is no axine present, means there is no sporopollenin is present. Okay, and one more thing, the pollen tube arises, and in pollen tube it takes 2 male gametes with it. Okay, which helps in pollination and after that fertilization. So these are the pre-fertilization events which I have discussed with you. These are the pre-fertilization events. After that, we will discuss about the fertilization events, and after that post-fertilization events. That's all.